The last decade saw a rise to a popular genre of games with a strong barrier to entry, a bit like being thrown into the deep end, the Souls-like. While there are many variations of Souls-like games, each requires the player to jump blindly into an unforgiving world, learning as they go, death by death. To investigate why this is both what makes this genre challenging and compelling, I can think of no better game to examine than the series that defines and is the namesake of all the genre, Dark Souls. Dark Souls 3 is a game without what you could consider normal difficulty options. There's no easy, normal, or hard like you might find in other titles. Instead, when you begin the game, you are given the choice of what class you start as. This determines your starting equipment and gives you a spread of abilities. And while this choice isn't a permanent decision, every item and abilities each class starts with can be attained elsewhere in the game. This choice can drastically change the difficulty the player faces, creating instead a sort of modular difficulty system. Starting as the Knight class, for example, gives the player heavy armor, a strong sword, and a shield to guard with, something of the expected tools you'd use in a Souls game. Deprived, on the other hand, starts the player in tattered rags and with wooden weapons, equipment the player is sure to replace. In a way, this is hard mode. The world hasn't changed, but the player who chooses this class enters the game less prepared to face it. The choice becomes how challenging of initial experience the player desires, whether they choose to start the game from a strong footing or from zero. Regardless of the starting class or build, the player will engage with the core gameplay elements of Dark Souls in similar fashion. This comes in the form of reading enemy attacks and reacting accordingly, searching for openings to counterattack, and timing when to block or evade. In doing so, the player must also monitor several resources of their own, primarily health, or how many mistakes they can make before it's game over, and stamina, or how many times they can attack and dodge enemies' strikes before waiting for it to replenish. Health does not regenerate on its own, so the player must look for moments to break away from combat to heal with the Estus Flask. The Estus Flask itself has its own resource to track, serving something like extra lives, or extra mistakes the player can make, if they can find the time to heal. Learning to manage your resources and read enemy attacks is vital to Souls combat. The challenge and enjoyment of a Souls game comes from the player's own gradual improvement and mastery, as well as their character going stronger numerically. The series' insistence on the player to constantly learn and adapt is an initial barrier to entry, but I'd argue it's also what makes Dark Souls great.